Hey everyone, today I am working on the Altered Index 2025 challenge put on by Nonstop Papercraft, and I am on week 26, which is questions. And it took me a bit to come up with an idea for this, so hopefully it's going to work. I'm basically going to put a bunch of question marks, and sorry, there's a really loud train going by, hope it doesn't bother you. I have a question mark stamp here, and a question mark stamp here, and I'm going to stamp them all over my watercolor cardstock and emboss them in white. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm actually only putting one question on my card. I'm just going to do a sentiment that says, "Hello, how are you?" But I thought it would be fun to just put a bunch of question marks randomly all over. If I could get that stuck on here. Okay. I do need to grab a paper to put under my white embossing powder, just in case it makes a bit of a mess. Move my sprays, because I'll do that after. So I'm just going to start stamping these question marks kind of all over. And I will heat emboss these ones so that I can see where they all are before going ahead and doing more. Because I obviously cannot see where they are on this card until I get the embossing powder on. I really should get a little spoon for this powder. Okay. Now before I go on with my heat tool, I'm just going to wipe off some of the excess powder. And I will go off camera to dry this. Okay, there's a few on there. Now I'm going to do some with this other little stamp. Trying to change the directions a little bit here and there. And I am going to obviously ink this panel up in a different color so that you can actually see the white embossing. I should do some a little more in the middle as well. I am going to put my sentiment in the middle, popped up on a circle. Okay, going off camera again to dry this. Okay, I think I will do a few. Let me just bring in my circle. I've got a bunch of circles die cut here. And I'm not sure which size I'm going to use. Maybe a smaller one. Not sure if I'll use the smaller one or the larger one. Don't like that. But I will do a few more of these. Okay, I think that's probably good. So put this aside. Clean those later. I have got a couple of Distress Oxide sprays. I've got Mermaid Lagoon and Peacock Feathers that I'm going to cover this panel in, along with some Antique Linen Distress Spritz. And I'm also going to grab my water sprayer to move the ink around if needed. So I'm going to bring in my splatter box. And I'm going to grab a paper towel. All right, let's shake these up. Okay. Let's see how this goes. Add some of that one there. Let's add a bit of water on here. Just kind of get that moving around a bit. And let's add a bit of that spritz in with that while that's all wet. Give some shimmer. And I think what I will do is take this out and dry it maybe with my heat gun, so I will be back. Okay, I think I'm going to go in and just add a little bit more of the shimmery Antique Linen. And I will give that a dry with my heat tool. Okay. I'm happy with that. It's got some color, it's shimmery. So I'm going to set that aside for a moment. And I'm going to work on the sentiment. So I will bring in my Misty. And I will take off that. Stick that in there. And I've got two stamp sets that I'm pulling stamps from. I've got a hello from this Hunky Dory set, and I've got this Simon Says stamp, this little how are you. So I'm going to use those two. Just get them lined up. Just gonna bring this down a little bit here so I can see it a little bit better without getting my head stuck in the camera. I think that looks pretty good. And I will use my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. That is my favorite ink for stamping sentiments. probably don't need a second one, but I'm going to do a second one because I just feel that the hello maybe could use a little darker impression. Perfect. And just take those off and throw them to the side. My fingers are a little messy. I don't want to get ink on. I mean, some of it is stain from the color, but I really don't want any of the color to wipe off on there. And I am going to heat set this with clear embossing powder. And I'll go off screen to heat that. Okay, let me see. Guess that's not completely dry in some spots. But I am going to stick things on there and just see what it looks like. That's kind of my thoughts, to have that, and I will probably pop that up on a second one. I have this one that has a little crease in it, so probably give that a little bit more dimension. And then I do also have some die cut question marks from my alphabet die set that I thought I could pop a few of those in the leftover spaces. So I think right now let's stick these two together. And you know what, I could probably get my glue out here. Perfect. Just will give that a little more dimension. Okay. And I was going to take my paper towel and just see. Maybe I won't do that. I was going to see about maybe getting some of the splatters off of the question marks, but maybe this needs to dry a little more. But I'm fine with the question marks the way they are. So I think I will dry it a little more. Okay, I am going to cut the panel down a little bit so that there's a white border. Hopefully this is dry enough. Alright, let's bring in a card base. Okay, I've still got ink on me. Okay, let's line that up. Oh. Yep, I think that'll be good. So I just don't want to mess up the white. But I think I'll bring in my art glitter glue and glue the back of this. Okay, I think that'll work good. And maybe I should just glue that right down and then glue the other question marks on. I think let's do that. All right, let me just see how many of these I want. There's a couple empty spaces, so maybe there, oops, there. Probably don't need too many of these ones. I think I only die cut 6 of them. There's quite a bit of empty space here. Maybe I'll put 2 of them there. Or do I do one here? This one over here. But this has so much white space, or white space, turquoisey blue space. Just there, maybe just 3 of those. Okay, let's get my Bearly Art glue. And these ones are actually die cut out of photo paper. Figured that might work better since the white embossed ones are a little bit glossy. So I figured some glossy photo paper would maybe look nice. Okay, 1. Oh, come on. Oh no. Why did you come right up? There. Okay, and the little dot. And 1 more, I think. I have been working really hard at getting caught up on this challenge. I know there's like no time limit on it. It doesn't have to be done each week, but when I came across this challenge, it was the second or maybe third week of January when I found out about this, and I did really quickly get up to date, and I was doing well at that, and then life happened, you know, things get busy, and I got really behind. But I am working at getting caught up. I think if I keep doing 2 of these cards a week for the next, I don't remember the math, I did 3 or 4 weeks maybe, I'll be caught up and I can just start doing them once a week. But I really am having fun doing this challenge. It is helping me to think outside of the box in some things, find supplies. Sometimes I don't have things that really fit the topic or the prompt for the week, which is probably true for many of you as well, but it's good to come up with different ideas. So for this one, week 26, the prompt being questions, I basically used question marks and have 1 question there. Anyways, that is my week 26 for the Altered Index Challenge, Altered Index 2025 Challenge by Nonstop Paper Crafts. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.